Welcome back to Healthy, Happy, Wise, Wealthy. I have with us today Shellee Howard. She is the founder and CEO of College Ready. College Ready Plan is the website. So we're going to talk about all things about getting your kids ready for college, getting them into college, and getting college paid for. So I'm really excited up for this topic. Thank you for being here, Shellee. Want to mention we have a podcast sponsor, Mindiii, Mindiii, and they are an IT company. So IT, I feel like, is a confusing thing, but all that back-end stuff that keeps data safe, customer info safe, builds great websites that are scalable, all kinds of stuff like that. So diving in, Shellee, what led you to create this? You've been at it for 18 years. Is that about right?
Yes, we're going on our 19th application season. The founder's story, I'll give you the brief version, is my oldest son, he was in middle school, came home one day, very excited about his day at school, which was not very common. And he came in the kitchen for a snack and he says, "Mom, I know exactly what I want to do after high school." And I was like, "What? What happened at school today?" He said, "Well, that high school lady, she came, she said that we need to pick classes for next year. And she said that it's really important that I know what I want to do. So I decided I want to be a brain surgeon and go to one of those Ivy things." I was like, what? And I said, I changed my major 5 times and I only applied to 2 schools, right? Like, this is huge. And he goes, "I know, Mom, but this is what I want to do." And then he starts walking out and he turns around and he says, "Will you help me?" And that's when life changed, because I had my degree already, but it was not in college admissions. And so I had another profession. Actually, I had 7 other businesses that I had started. And
Oh,
so
wow.
this was just something that was a need. It started as a need, and then it became a bigger need when I found out how much Ivy League schools cost. And then it became a bigger need when I realized I had 3 other children after him to get through it. And so I was feeling like, wow, there's a lot at stake here. And so I went back to school and I got my master's. I went back to school and became an independent certified college consultant. And then I started touring 25 colleges a semester. Then I became a strategic financial a strategic financial advisor, but I am not
Okay.
a financial advisor. I am truly FAFSA, SAI, and CSS profile. All other
Okay.
things, I send them right back to Mary. I know how to stay in my own lane, but I did have to figure it out because there was a lot of myth, there was a lot of unknown, there was a lot of bad information out there. And the only way I could really figure it out was to do the deep dive myself. And like I mentioned, there was a huge at stake dollar amount. And
Yep, right.
so that's how College Ready got started, is just trying to navigate it on my own. Since then, that young man went to Harvard pre-med, graduated debt-free, went on to UC San Diego Medical School, just finished at UCLA orthopedic surgery, 15 years of college education for 100,000 in total.
Wow.
That is a return on investment considering his first job.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Wow. What a story. That
That's
ended. Okay. Yeah, that's an amazing story. So you mentioned a few things already. So, and I'm just to make sure everyone knows what they are. So, and I put, had kids go through college. I don't even know that I can remember all this. So the FAFSA, that is just tell us what all these things are. They got to know.
absolutely. So the first thing you want to know is your student aid index. We use the
Okay.
acronym SAI. The student
Okay.
aid index, if you want, you can go to collegereadyplan.com/resources and you can get it done for free. Otherwise, you can pay on other sites. But I have it for my listeners on my podcast and now on your podcast. And so go there, and it will be the first time you are able to see how much a college, any college, and they're all unique, thinks you should be able to pay. And I've never had somebody come back and go, "I am so excited, that's all I have to pay." No, it always turns out there's no way I'm paying that. And that's when we go into the FAFSA. The FAFSA is actually a government form. I'm going to try to like simplify it. I always tell AI, tell me like a third grader. So here you go. So the FAFSA, it takes your income and your assets, but not all your income and not all your assets. It only takes some of them. And hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying, because you want to make sure it's taking the right income and the right assets, right? And then it pulls from your taxes. It's called a double look back. So it's the second semester of your child's sophomore year and the first semester of their junior year. That's a double look back. So what happened back in the day is everybody kept saying, I haven't got to my taxes yet. And so the government got really smart and they're like, well, we know that you have to have 2 years back or you're going to be in big trouble. So they kind of squashed that. Then after you complete the FAFSA, there's several schools, about 25% of them, that require the CSS profile. That gets even deeper into your business. It includes the home you live in. It includes all of your investments. Basically, it includes everything. There's no getting around it. Now, the FAFSA does not include the home you live in. So please don't put it on your FAFSA. That's the number one mistake families make. I don't know how, but 97% of families complete the FAFSA wrong. And fortunately, that's the first thing that you have an opportunity to show a college. Are you going to tap into one of the buckets of money? And I'm happy to go on, but maybe your listeners don't want to know where the buckets of money are.
Oh, I probably not. Yeah, they're probably all independently wealthy. So I think you got it right on the nose there. Tell us about the buckets of money. We're right here.
You got it. Yeah. So I just want to make sure everybody's still paying attention. So there's 4 buckets of money, and this is the reality. Last year, I had 20 students, 20 seniors earn $11.8 million in scholarships. In 18 years, I've had $80 million students earn, not have to pay back, not loans, not need-based. They've earned it, 80 million in scholarships. So I'm going to now tell you where to go get them. So the first bucket of money is if you make under $200,000 in total household income, that's the need-based bucket, okay? That's going to be, you're going to have the opportunity to receive some need-based scholarships if that university accepts and allows. Not all of them do, okay? So if you can get into an Ivy League school, they will pay 100% of your tuition, their housing, and everything. It's getting in that's the tough part, right? So that is what I want families to understand. If you have a student that can get in, you have a great shot at it. Unfortunately, mine did, but I didn't qualify. So I had to go a whole different path with my family. So then the second bucket of money, this is going to be merit money. This is for a student who has a really good GPA or really good test scores or a significant passion with purpose project or extracurriculars that are outstanding or leadership that is amazing. These are things that the student earns without them ever knowing about your money. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the family's money. It is truly student earned. That's merit-based. Then we go institutional-based. Institutional is the number one way to get a full ride. Number one. So if you're looking for a sports full ride, you're looking down the wrong path. Institutional, picking the right university for the right student equals free opportunity. So how you go about getting an institutional scholarship is making sure that your child's GPA, test score, community service, leadership, extracurriculars, letters of recommendation, and essay are brilliant. All of that, not one piece of it, all of that. And then you pick the right college list for them to apply to. So you have some reach dream schools, you have some target schools, and you have some safe schools. Now, here's the problem. Most people find the hard way. If you leave this up to your teenager, they're going to pick the best football team, the best water polo team, the best band, the best location, the best mascot. I've heard it all. That is not how you get institutional money. You pick the colleges that are the most generous. And then you do financial negotiations and reconsiderations, and that is how you do it. So my son's example, he got a full ride, the Presidential Scholarship for Leadership at USC, and Harvard matched it. That is how we were able to navigate that process. So just know they're not advertising it. College is a business and they want your money. That's the bottom line. The final one is independent. This is the bucket. Right now, there's a scholarship for $10,000 a year if you're a vegan. Just saying, if you're a vegan, that's free money. There's another scholarship for $15,000 if you have one brown eye and one green eye. If you do, that's amazing. They have so many random scholarships. My son won the $25,000 Coca-Cola Leadership Scholarship, and that was every year. So it was $100,000 he got paid for just doing what he loved to do, and that was being in leadership. That's where all the money comes from.
Wow. There's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know on your website you say, let's start the process all the way in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then every year there's stuff that parents and students can do to make sure they're in line to get some of these scholarships. So, yeah. So let's start with middle school. What's important at that area of life?
So, getting in has to come first. Just to be clear, if they don't get in, who cares if they get scholarships? So we're very focused on how do we help the child, when they're a child in middle school, how do we help them figure out who they are, what matters to them, and what have they done about it? Because that's what colleges want to know. Well, think about it. If you have this long runway, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, your child should know who they are. That's the big idea. We're not focused on, that's not the main driver at that age is scholarships, but I will say you can start applying to independent scholarships as young as 4th grade. So if you really want to get a jump on it, parents, you definitely want to be looking at the independent scholarships.
Wow. I'm going to take a sip of water with you.
Yeah. So 7th grade and 8th grade are helping the student really look at what are their strengths, what are their gifts, what are their talents, what do they advocate for, who are they? So when they hit the end of 8th grade and college clock starts ticking, they have a jump start that summer going into high school. They're ready. They're like, let's do it. Where do I get leadership? Where do I do this? Where did they start having the opportunities for all of this getting accepted and getting a ROI on the money? So I think that's the important thing that many people kind of skip. They're just like, why would we talk about college that young? It's really, I like to reframe it and think, you're helping your child adult. Okay? Think of it as adulting. Wouldn't you want somebody to help them figure out who they are, their core values, their gifts, their talents, parents, wouldn't you want that when you were a teenager? Would that have made life so much easier? Absolutely. So we're giving it gently and easily by just having conversations and navigating them through this path. So that is how we're helping prepare them. Again, they can also be applying to independent scholarships at the same time. But really the critical piece, if you could pick the perfect time to start, would be the day they promote from 8th grade. Why? because the very first classes they take their freshman year set the tone for the 4 years of high school. That will be huge for that student, because if they pick ceramics and if they pick, basket weaving, and if they pick, art, and then they have maybe one or two subject matter, they're going to be really far behind. It's probably going to feel really fun, but not at the end when they're trying to compete for a university. And so helping them navigate what class, when, how many AP, how many IB, how many dual enrollment, how many college classes, in what order, that just gives them peace of mind that they have a plan. It's not just wait and see.
Yeah. And that is such a thing now with getting a college courses in high school, so I can see that. But you keep bringing up leadership, and is that what you found is a key in getting scholarships and getting into universities?
So
Or part of it?
yes is the answer, and the reason why is probably the most important. So think of college like a business, because that's truly what it is. So if you own a college, would you want a student who just goes to the beach all summer? Or would you want a student who has proven that they lead others to be the change they wish they want to see in the world, lead in the classroom in collaboration? Doesn't that equate to graduating and leading in their career and putting the diploma on the wall, and everybody's saying, how was your experience at UCLA? And you're like, oh, it was so amazing. I was part of this and that and this and that. You just now sold their business. They didn't have to spend a dime on marketing. And that is why leadership is so important.
Okay. So college as a business looks for students who are serious, and leadership is that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, and you're saying that sports aren't necessarily as much the ticket. I feel like a lot of parents look at sports as being the ticket.
Absolutely. And so I played softball for the USA. My son played soccer for Europe. My daughter was a competitive cheerleader. I did the same thing. I really drank the water. I really believed that my kids were amazing and they were going to earn their own way in. And I spent my daughter's cheerleading, I think, was probably $10,000 a year between lessons and traveling and coaches and all of that. I flew my son to Europe every summer so he could play. I mean, if I just put that money into tutoring and really focusing on their education, they would have been so much better off. But the point is, the reality is 2% of students will get a full ride athletic scholarship compared to the amount I just shared with you. So if you're really doing the math, your child has a significantly greater chance of going academically than any athletic. The other thing you want to be thinking about, parents, is if their sport does not generate income, think of like bowling, gymnastics, equestrian. There's no full rides that they're giving because it's not a money generating sport. And remember, college is a business.
It's a good thing to keep in mind for sure. So leadership things, like what kind of things can kids do in middle school and high school for leadership?
So it's really important for them to be them, not be somebody else. So I can give you good, better, and best, right? Good is when a teacher says, I need somebody to lead a project. They raise their hand. Great. That is a stepping stone to leadership. Better is when they have a chance to maybe do a peer group or do National Honor Society or CSF or Key Club, or and then a club at school, and then they lead that. And then best is actually creating your own passion with purpose project and leading other students to be the change you wish to see in the world. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, parents, you can see what my college ready students are doing. Go to www.empowereducation.world. I started this nonprofit 3 years ago, and my students from all over the world log in 1 hour a week. They've built a school in Uganda that educates 950 children, an orphanage in Oaxaca, and a blind school in India. This is all student led, student run. Students are amazing. So if you're thinking no way my child's going to figure out how to do all of that, that's what we do that's what College Ready does. So I get it. It's not easy. When I was trying to get my 4 to do a Passion with Purpose project, I thought all my ideas were silly and I didn't know what I was talking about. And every student that has led Empower Education has gotten into their dream school and done it with scholarships. So it's proof of what colleges are really looking for, and that is being a change maker, actually standing up for what you believe. And the nice part is they lean in with what they're passionate. So there's a sports group, there's a sewing group, there's a STEM group, there's a law group. So your student gets to go be with other brilliant students who have the same gifts, talents, and passions and spend time together. And what they can create is so amazing.
Yeah, that's a very cool thing
So
you're
fun.
describing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I bet they do just feel a sense of empowerment would be the word I guess I would use. That
Yeah.
they actually in and of themselves can create some kind of effect in the world, and it's a beautiful feeling and a beautiful thing.
And then the nice part is my director at the school in Uganda, he sends videos and photos back of the students utilizing the gifts that the students are sending their way. It's so beautiful to watch these kids in real time, tears in their eyes, like, I did it. I made a difference. I fed that child. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Wow. So if you do something like that in the college process, when you're applying for everything, how does that fit in? Like, where in the process does a college ask for this information about your leadership stuff? Is it the essay or some other thing?
It's actually all the way through.
All the way
Everywhere
through.
through. Yeah. So on the
Okay.
Common App application, they'll ask for 10 activities, honors, and awards. On the University of California app, there's 20 places for activities, honors, and awards. And when you list an activity, honor, award, it says, how many years did you do it? Why did you do it? What was your role? Did you lead it? What was the impact you made? How many hours a week and how many weeks a year? So it's all the way through. And then the essay, right? The essay is like the grand finale. It talks about the impact that you made and how it changed your life. And, if you just go and tutor someone or feed the homeless or check boxes, you can't have that same essay. You won't have that same experience. And that's where students are really missing the opportunity is they're thinking so small. They're thinking, well, so-and-so did that. And, I saw so-and-so do that, but that's playing it way too small. How much effort does it take to tell somebody, oh, you need help with math? I'll tutor you. Really, it takes nothing. They're like, heck yeah, free tutoring. I would love that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Colleges are not looking for students to do minimal. And I don't think we're looking for adults to do minimal. They won't get promoted at work if that's what they do.
Oh, good stuff. So I have been out. I can tell even in this conversation because I've done these things, but I'm a little out of it. It's been a few years. So the Common App, could you tell parents what that is if they don't know?
Absolutely. So there are several different applications a student will utilize. There's the Common App, the Coalition app, the University of California app, the California State app, then there's Texas app, Florida app, Georgia app, and then there's private apps. So all of that means Once you pick your college list, the next step is what application are they asking you to use? And they will use one of those types of applications. They get to choose, and it just depends on who they partner with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go two different directions. So let me just pick one. We started out a while ago asking, okay, so what should they do in middle school to kind of, lead the way into getting ready for college, and being ready for college starts really the summer before ninth grade is kind of what you said about that. So, okay, so every year of high school, what are some things that they really should be doing?
So the first thing is they should have an academic plan. What classes when? In other words, how many AP, IB, or dual enrollment? When are they going to take them? Their freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior year. Then they have what's called an A through G requirement. If a student wants to apply to a University of California school, because there's so many students who apply there, they have their own requirements. Your high school does not need to require the same thing. So you can graduate from a school in New Jersey and want to apply to UCLA and potentially not have the right classes to be able to even apply.
Ooh.
So the academic plan is critical, all right? And since most students don't know where they're going to apply till junior or senior year, you want to know all of this before they set their academic plan. If you think their high school counselor is going to do it, I encourage you to ask your child, how many times have you met with your high school counselor? If they say none, don't be shocked. The
Yeah.
reality is they have their hands full. I think they're amazing, but they're also dealing with truancy, mental illness, kids that are not, completing a C average. So if your student is doing at least a C average, they're considered okay. And you're thinking, no, 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 no. And I'm like, ah. So really understanding who's going to do that. Are you going to do the research as the parent? Because I promise you, your teenager is not. They're going to do the least resistant path, right? So who's going to do that? That's going to be important. So that's why College Ready was started, with that one thing alone, because my son in his freshman year picked the wrong class, and it absolutely caused havoc his senior year. He started with Spanish 1, valedictorian started with Spanish 2. He could have started with Spanish 2, but I didn't know to tell him that at the time.
Oh.
That was it. That was the
Oh my
difference between
gosh.
valedictorian and salutatorian. Again, not a huge big deal for a lot of students, but for students who really want that, that was pretty devastating to him. The next thing is
Wow.
testing. So as soon as your student finishes Algebra 2, they're ready to take a real SAT or ACT. They do not need to take both. So we help students decide which test they should take, when they should take it, where they should take it, and how many times they should take it. Then it's community service. Again, trying to help your student understand colleges are not looking for box checkers. It's very apparent if you're just doing things to check a box. And so help your child figure out who they are. The community service they're doing, what is it telling about your child? I just met with a student prior to coming on here, and I have to tell this story. This is a classic. So I always ask a student, tell me about yourself. And they always look at me like weird, like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I just want to get to know you. And, they still don't tell me. And I'm like, okay, what's your GPA? And they're like, oh, okay, I know what to tell you now. So we were going through it, and they got into their community service, and it was a young man, and he was telling me that he had spent time with little children in homeless shelters, and that he really, that was his claim, that like that's all he had done. And I asked him, I said, well, tell me, what about homeless shelters and working with the children, really meant something to you? And he goes, oh, no, it meant nothing to me. My mom made me do it. She said that I'm going and you're coming with me. And I'm like, oh, I see. That essay probably is not going to get written. And
Right.
so we have to be really mindful of that. And truly imagine
Mhm.
if, imagine a world if every student before they turned 18 did 200 hours of community service, what would our world be like? Just ponder that for a
Yeah.
moment.
There'll probably be less depression from too much time on social media for starters.
That
So
would be,
they would
yeah,
probably be doing better in general. Their self-esteem would probably be better, right?
right.
Yeah.
And think about, you learn about compassion, you learn
Mhm.
about empathy, you learn that not everybody has what everybody else has. And I just believe that when a student is helping another individual, it doesn't matter what age, they feel like they're willing to take a risk because that person will be no worse off if they mess up. But if you
Mhm.
ask a teenager to go try a new thing, they are terrified of making a mistake or doing it wrong. And so they won't do it. Somebody's going to capture them on social media doing something wrong or silly or embarrassing, and they're terrified of it. And that is a tragedy.
Mm.
So it's important that they learn these things. Remember, I'm talking about adulting. College is just part of adulting. Then after that, it's extracurriculars. What do they like to do? Is it a sport? Is it an instrument? Is it drama? Is it, you know, shopping? What is it that they really like to do? And then what have they done to do it? How have they participated? Do they just try it, drop it, try it, drop it, try it, drop it? Or do they try a few things and stick with one? What does
Mhm.
that tell you about somebody when you're going to employ them? It tells you a lot about them. So again, we're talking about adulting, and college is just in the middle. Then we get into leadership. This can come in different ways. This could be captain of the team. It could be ASB president. It could be first chair in music. It could be president of a club. It could be
Mhm.
anything that you're voted into. Leadership is not telling people you better follow me or else. That is not leadership, right? So you have to be very careful when you understand what you're doing because that will not help you if you're strong arming people into making them participate. Then it
Mhm.
gets into letters of recommendation, which is who is your student connected with? Is it their favorite biology teacher? Is it their math teacher? Is it their history or English teacher? Who's going to know them the best so they can tell colleges something that they may not know about them and what they're like in the classroom? And then finally, the essay. The essay is such a critical piece because think of like the application as the cake. It has all the ingredients for success. The icing is what seals it all in and makes it sweet. It's all of the great stuff that you're proud of, that you want colleges to know about you so they can say, yes, I want you and I know you're going to be successful.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing each and every year at different levels that are age appropriate.
Okay. That makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Is there ways, I mean, that you can think of as a mom and end up doing this for kids just all the way through elementary school and stuff to just help them kind of gear them towards the path of just what seems intuitive to them or what they are drawn to?
Yeah. I often tell, I've had pregnant women call me and say, hey, how do I plan for college? No joke. They want a jump start on it. And I always tell them, well, best thing you can do, read to them every single night. The second best thing you can do is have them read to you every single night. And then
Yeah.
put your phone inside a book or a magazine and don't have them see you on it 24/7. These little people want to mimic the big people. And if you've got a book in your hand 24/7 and you're reading and you're intellectually curious and you're going to museums and science fairs and oh my goodness, how would that be a terrible thing, right? If we do the simple thing and we just hand them our phone to keep them quiet, that is just going to continue this process of frustration. Get off your phone and get your homework done. So it really starts from a very, very young age. And I just want families to know that the love of reading is why they're going to score well on their SAT or ACT. And that equals massive scholarship. So if you're going to do this for no other reason than for money, do it for that reason. They can earn a free education their junior year PSAT if they score well. Free. Has nothing to do with what you make. So
Wow.
parents, just know there's so much opportunity out there, but the students are going to do whatever you do. They're watching. And if you really want to have some fun, when they're about middle to high school, ask them to play a game with you and ask them, if I gave you $1 million cash, if they're not smiling, you're in trouble. Go back, I give you $1 million cash, they're now smiling, and you have 24 hours to spend it, or you have to give it all back to me. What would you do with it? And then be really, really quiet. I've had students tell me they would buy a yacht, and then they buy an airplane. They take their friends all over the world. And I said, no, 1 million. And they're like, yeah, 1 million. And I'm like, oh. And then I've had other students say, I give it all to charity, every penny of it. And I'm like, your parents take really good care of you at home for you to be able to give away all your money, right? That's interesting too. And then I had one student, who said, well, I'd buy a rental property. I'd fix it up on the weekends, and then I would sell it, and I'd buy 2. And then I'd buy an apartment building. I said, what do your parents do? And he goes, oh, they flip real estate. And I'm like, oh, so you do listen to what your parents are talking about. And so that game alone, parents, will give you a really good indicator. Does your child really, are they capable of making a decision that could cost you $400,000, $500,000? Because NYU right now, $100,000 a year. USC's right behind. That's a lot of money to leave up to somebody who has no idea what they would do with $1 million. So just be mindful. If you don't want to talk about it, have a mentor, have somebody. I talk about it all day long with my students. I want them to know how much it costs to live next door to their parents. I think it's important for them to know how much a college education return on investment is. I can even tell them if AI will be doing their job before they graduate. It's a real thing.
You know, the intellectual curiosity, I think, is that's a huge thing, because there's certain things we can all learn, of course, and kids can learn, that just life skills you can learn, money management you can learn, entrepreneurship you can learn. There's all these different avenues. Just it's really endless. So languages you can learn. But I do think what our culture really does and has gotten pretty bad is numbing out, TV and video games, junk food, you know. So there's probably a little, there's too much of that, even if your child isn't going to go to college, maybe a community college or something else. You know, intellectual curiosity is not just for kids that are naturally really book intelligent, with that. So, yeah.
I've coined it fascination with impact. That's really what it is. We need to find, what are they fascinated with? It's the same thing as intellectual curiosity, but it adds an element of excitement, right? What are they fascinated with, parents? Remember the days of Legos, and you step on them and you're like, those darn Legos, but they would spend hours with them. Or maybe it was with, designing clothes, whatever that fascination was. Get back to that. Get back
Yeah.
to that. That's what's missing for this generation.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think kids, I birthed three and adopted four.
Wow.
So I can tell you that, from that experience, of course, it's just my personal experience, but they're all different in their
Mhm.
path they needed to take into adulthood, which was based on some of it was early. I adopted teenagers from another country, so let's say early childhood what they came with so far. So we went with what are you just naturally good at, and that should kind of be the pathway uh, that you follow.
Mhm.
So, for one, it was really just a trade, learn a trade, and that can be a good money maker. And
Sure.
another one was just good with people, and good with cleaning. And so there's a cleaning business, right? So
Right.
you compare anything with entrepreneurship. Another was the arts, and another was like you really are engineer driven, so
Mhm.
we're going to need to get those grades high. You know what I mean? In order to fulfill what you're trying to fulfill with
Yeah.
architecture, and every single one was very different in what they were
Mhm.
looking to do. So
Yeah.
there is as and some of that is the classes they do. Some of it's what they're drawn to. I have
Mhm.
a child, I kept trying to, like, here's a ball, son, kick it. No interest ever. So it's like, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's not going to be your soccer player. So, just it doesn't matter. There's so much in the world that's very, very interesting
Mhm.
to do. So, but I can see the value of, not being saddled with all this debt leaving college. I mean, that actually affects your entire life if you
Mhm.
can get a great college education and your master's, your doctorate, or whatever you're going for without debt. What an amazing thing that is.
It's so important.
So,
Yeah, I told all my kids, I said, listen, you have choices you get to make. Are you going to school for the location? Are you going on a 4-year vacation? Or are you going to get in and out with a degree and a network that will support you for the rest of your life?
mm,
That's what we're talking here. I have
wow.
students now who meet with me and I say, what do you want to do? And they're like, I want to be an influencer, or I am an influencer. I'm like, that's so cool. Tell me about it. Well, I have this many, follows and likes. Well, how much did you make? Oh, yeah. Well, there are a lot of followers. Well, how much are you
Yeah.
making? Ah, and I never discourage them. It's really a great entrepreneur spirit, but I want to help them
Mm,
understand where's the business plan behind the business model, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur, create a business plan, monetize it.
yeah.
That's what we're talking about. It's not change the person, it's help the person understand here are all of the opportunities for you. And now you get to choose which path you want to go down. That's a very different story from them just not knowing.
Yeah, that's a very different story for sure.
Mhm.
So you have on your website,
Correct.
collegereadyplan.com. You have a couple books on there also. So
I
you've
do.
written a couple books for people. Tell me about those.
Oh, this is a fun story, but I'll give you the condensed version. So
Okay.
I wanted my son to stay in California and take the full ride at USC. I'm not lying. I mean, no, that's probably sad for some families, but I was thinking he's going to be an hour from home. This is brilliant. It's free. I love it. And then Harvard sent this beautiful package, and he thought somebody was playing with him. He really thought his friends set him up. So he had me call and see if it was real, and it was real. And they flew us out to, you know, uh, Cambridge, and then they wowed him, and they, sold him how
Mm,
amazing they were. And he walked into the dining hall, and he's like, "Whoa, it's Hogwarts!" And he was like, "This is so cool, Mom. Can I come here?" And I said, "If you can get it for free." And that's where we started to talk about the financial negotiation and the return on investment, and that's how we were able to navigate it. So here's where the book comes in. When we navigated that, and I flew him out to Harvard, and we were packing or unpacking in his room, there were several parents who were really, really sad and crying. And I was just happy like nobody's business. I was like, this is so amazing. He's at Harvard. Like, this is crazy. We never planned on this. And so he looked at me and he's like, Mom, it's okay if you're sad. I go, I'd be sad if you were at home on my couch doing drugs. I go,
Oh,
I'm not sad. I go, I'm really not. I'm gonna miss you, but let's get real. You'll be home, right? And he says, Mom, I promise I will come back to California. I promise I will get at least A's and B's, and I promise I will graduate without debt. And he said, but if I do, will you write a book to help others do it?
oh my gosh. Wow.
And that's how I wrote my first book. So when he was crossing the stage at Harvard, he comes running up to me and he hands me his diploma and he goes, Mom, where's the book? And I'm like, oh, he remembered. We hadn't talked about it in 4 years. I thought, oh, he'll forget. And he didn't let me forget. So I took 3 months off. I poured my heart and soul into how to send your student to college without losing your mind to your money. It was a #1 bestseller in 24 hours. And it was a true bet from a mother and son. Since then, I've written a second book, College Admissions Plan Simplified, because it has gotten so complex and so expensive that I wanted to give another gift, and it became a bestseller in 24 hours. So both of those are on sale for your listeners at $4 each. And so please know that's a great place to start. It's a book written for busy, working, busy parents to help navigate the process. And, Starbucks probably is more than that. So,
Right.
good place to start.
Oh, what a gift. Wow, and what a story. I'm actually crying a little bit. That
Ah,
feels it's so meaningful, you know?
it was pretty crazy he
Yeah.
remembered.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think the
amazing.
saddest part is I really didn't enjoy writing at all.
Oh,
So the thought of doing it a second time, it was real. It took me 7 years. Like, I was traumatized after the first book. It is hard taking everything that you know and have done and giving
right.
it to the world. It was
Mm,
really hard. It was kind of like you want to protect it and you want to make sure that, it's used for the good. And so I had a really hard time letting go of that, but I knew how many people I could help. And so that is the reason why it was challenging and so meaningful. I think
yeah.
probably the most meaningful after that is we started a second bet. And I said, when you graduate medical school, and you will you go back to Africa? Because I took him to Africa his junior year in high school. I said, will you go back to Africa and give back to all of those people that changed your life?
Oh,
And he did.
oh, that's so cool.
So it kind of came back full circle. When he graduated from UCLA orthopedics, I think it was 4 days later, he headed out to Ethiopia for 2 weeks and did hip and knee surgery for all of these little people that would never have had that opportunity. So
Oh,
your
wow.
your kids do pay attention.
That's so profound and
Yeah,
beautiful. What a
it's so
beautiful
good.
story.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So if people are like, okay, I want to work with you.
Mm.
Please help me with this for my child. What do they do?
So there's a few ways for your listeners, and that, or if somebody passes it on and you listen. The first one is go to collegereadyplan.info. You'll
Dot
get
info.
30
Okay.
minutes with me so I can help your family navigate. Are you on track to get in? Are you on track to do it without going into debt? So collegereadyplan.info gets you that opportunity. If you're more, I just want some free resources, go to collegereadyplan.com/resources. And I give you, I think it's 7 or 8 things for free, where it's just like, here's a great start. And then, of course, excuse me, my 2 best-selling books on Amazon. But really, if you just do one of them, collegereadyplan.info, and I give you a scorecard so you walk away knowing we can do this without going into debt, and we can do it together. It's such a great way to start this process or even finish this process.
Yeah, that's amazing, amazing things. How big is your team? How many people are you guys working with
Yeah, so
generally?
we only take 20 students per grade. So
Oh,
we are a boutique company and we do not take every student. If your student rolls their eyes, crosses their arms, says they're not interested in going to college, that's not our favorite person to work with. If you have a student who's like, I don't have perfect grades, or I do have perfect grades, but I really want to go to college, or if I have a family that's like, we really need your help, that's who we want to work with. So it's really important that we're not about mass producing, we're really about impact and inspiration. Again, our goal is starting a career without debt. That is my mission, and that's what College Ready has been all about since day one. So it's important that you know that your child has all of this opportunity. That's why I do the podcast. But also they can listen to my podcast, Parents Is Your Teen College Ready? And I give away a lot more resources. So lots of ways I can help.
yeah. So you have your own podcast. There's a link for that on your website too, I
Yes.
think. Yes. Okay. So that's some really, really good stuff. Shellee, thank you for sharing so much wisdom with us. What else do you want to share with everyone before we wrap up?
Two very important things that we didn't talk about. The first one is it most people don't apply for scholarships because they think they make too much money. Remember the 4 buckets of money? That's only one bucket. You still have 3 more buckets. If you don't apply to scholarships, you won't get any. That's just kind of how it is. They don't just kind of come flying at you. So very important. The second thing is if you don't have a plan, it's like creating a plan for retirement when you're 75. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. You don't want to use your retirement to pay for your child's college because they're going to be taking care of you for the rest of their life then. And that
Mhm.
cycle is going to be really hard to get out of. So have a plan. Know you can do it. Parents, you've got this. If my kids can do it, your kids can do it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Well,
So
thank you,
good.
Shellee. I so appreciate you coming on and what great wisdom and such a huge topic and on parenting and getting your kids ready for adulthood and getting to college debt free in the college you want. So, all right. You have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you like that? You can watch more episodes here, subscribe over here. We actually have new episodes with awesome guests every Thursday, so check back in. Is that all?